Hey everybody, in today's YouTube video of the Aspie Life of Lisa, I'm going to talk about what it feels like to be on the spectrum. If you like today's video, feel free to click the like button, hit the comments below to add a comment, and subscribe to my channel. So I was asked this by a very special somebody yesterday after we finished our picnic and he went to drop me off. He asked me, what does it feel like to be on the spectrum? Now, the reason why that this was a light bulb moment for me was because we often hear from parents of children on the spectrum, what is that we have no idea what it feels like to have a child who's on the spectrum. But today, it gave me insight, my own insight, to share on what it would feel like to be on the spectrum. So when I explained it to him, this is how I explained it. When you're on the spectrum, it basically feels, for me, it feels like being a person in an unknown planet. And what I mean by that is because everything that comes natural to neurotypicals, so neurotypicals are people who are not on the autism spectrum. So everything that's natural to neurotypicals, like when somebody smiles, the body language, the unwritten social rules, or how they can handle their environment and they're able to process things. For a person on the spectrum like me, or things that I had to learn, I think of it like learning a new language. I had to learn all the social rules, and I'm still learning all the different social rules. And what it feels like too is that it literally will feel like it can be rewarding because I don't know how to lie. I can try and lie, but I just can't get away with it. It can be rewarding being on the spectrum. It can also be rewarding in the sense of where I don't have the hidden agendas. A friend of mine, she had to explain this to me, what it meant, and I just don't know how to pull it off. Even if I tried, I couldn't win in a game of poker. Let's say that. And I'm someone who is very loyal, non-judgmental. So I will judge a person more on their actions, not on their looks, their race, religion. And I'm not a gossiper, because socially, I can be really socially awkward, especially like in my work environment or in different situations that I'm not familiar with. And also, an advantage is being very fiercely loyal, because I'm somebody who, not only am I very routine driven, rules driven, I'm also very loyally driven when it comes to things like friendships, when it comes to my job and relationships and stuff. I'm very loyal, because if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't know how to cheat. I just don't know how, and I'd only be interested in that person that I'm ever with. So those are some advantages of being on the spectrum. Now, in a lot of social situations, I almost feel like a ghost. Or when somebody says something to me, I have to really take it in and process it. And it's the same thing at work. So in my work environment, I know I come off as being very antisocial if someone didn't know me. And it's not that. It's just when I try to make the connection, I don't always know how. So one way that I've had to learn this is to talk about little things. And it could be something really small. And it can come off as if I'm fixated on it and hyper-focusing. And I don't mean to do that. And even noises are 10 times, noises can be 10 times louder for me than they are for a neurotypical. So things like screaming babies, and things like fireworks. For an example, it used to be the blender, or even things like when somebody is yelling, or in my work environment, when more than one child is talking, it can literally be really overwhelming and a lot louder, even with smells. I could smell something from a distance, and even with touch, I've always liked the deep pressure touch, whereas light touch, it just feels really tickly. I can describe it like that. And also with lights, I find with lights for neurotypical, they seem fine, but for a person on the autism spectrum, lights are a lot brighter than what they are. And another thing, what it feels like is your brain is so used to a routine that when somebody without notice breaks that routine, it isn't just the anxiety, it's anxiety times 10. And it's because of that lack of time to process what's going on. It's that lack of time to really prepare for that. And another thing of what it feels like to be autistic in the social aspect is taking things really literally, or having to really watch somebody's facial expressions and learn, are they joking? Are they being serious? And this is where, for myself, I tend to fall victim to. And this is where it's gotten me in situations where it's like, oh, the person was joking, or oh, they weren't joking. It's like, what? So those are things that I'm still working on and learning. Or subtle hints. This is another one. It's important for if you're ever being involved with someone on the spectrum, like in a friendship or a colleague, or if you meet someone on the spectrum, do not subtly hint things to them. Hints, to me, they're nothing. It's easier if someone's very forward, clear about it. Then I know, where when someone's hinting something to me, it's just really hard to process. And then it's got me in situations where it's got me in trouble. It's like, this person was hinting at it. So it's not understanding those social cues that a neurotypical would understand. But to me, it's like learning a foreign language. I have to learn them. And it's something that I've been really learning. And just don't drop hints to a person on the spectrum, or imply things, or do the whole read between the line things, because it just doesn't work. And it's actually a cruel thing to do to someone on the spectrum. But instead, try to word things more clearly. Another thing is eye contact. So this is something I've had to learn. I've actually had to learn that. Neurotypicals can naturally make eye contact, but a person on the spectrum, they either have to learn it, or to them, you get very little to no eye contact. And holding eye contact for a long period of time is also really painful. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, and what it feels like to be on the spectrum, is I'm gonna talk about in terms of not just the social aspect, but the emotional aspect of it. So like, remember the little things that people take for granted, like a little thing like going out in public, little thing like even going to the gym, which I love. I had to work up the courage to do. Or even in terms of a job, I had to work up the courage to have a job. And I'm very fortunate to have a job in my field of work, or to go to college. Remember those little things that neurotypicals take for granted. For somebody like me, takes a lot of courage, and it's a big deal. And I hope I touched mostly on this. Just because somebody sees the world differently and views the world differently, it doesn't mean they're a lesser person. And to the special somebody that asked me last night, what does it feel like to be on the spectrum? I want to thank you for asking me that, because this actually gave me a great idea for today's video topic. I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I know it's a lot longer than expected, but I just wanted to cram everything in. Again, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Feel free to share my video, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. Peace and blessings.